Hi, everyone. This is Castle Cersei with the Santa Fe International Film Festival. This is Film Talk Weekly. And this week we have an awesome guest. It is Anna Maguire from
Hello.
With Love and a Major Organ. You might know this film from the Santa Fe International Film Festival 2023. It was the juried award for Best Narrative Feature. And I just found out that Anna was actually at the film fest, but being that we're always working there, maybe we met, maybe we didn't. But so you were there at the film fest.
Yeah, thanks so
Yeah.
much for having me. Firstly, but yeah, I feel like I went to New Mexico for the first time to attend the film festival and completely fell in love. And so it's so lovely to be speaking to you. And I guess by dint of that, other people there. So
Yes. So first time in Santa Fe. Where are you right now?
I'm in Los Angeles because we're about to do, well, we've been doing the release of the film now. It's going to be obviously in Santa Fe. But it started in New York and that was last weekend, and it's in LA this weekend, and then it's opening up to wider audiences after that. And also we're going to have a Canadian release. So we're at the sort of tail end, the really lovely bit actually, where it's just kind of nice to be able to celebrate this thing that we all collectively birthed, and share it with a wider public, and kind of bid it farewell, I guess, as it sort of sails off to live its own life.
Right. Is so you have a UK accent?
Yeah, well
Yeah.
spotted. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
grew up in London. Both my parents are Canadian, however, and so yeah, I've been splitting my time between the UK and Canada for the last few years. Um, yeah, I feel like I'm a relatively nomadic soul. It sort of brought me out on many adventures over time, but and yeah, I tend to travel a lot. But the film with Love and a Major Organ really came about through all those connections through space and time. And I think that's often the case with making stuff. It's sort of, people always say networking, it's got a sort of a dirty connotation, it's a bit of a dirty word. But actually, when you think of networks not as this horrible sort of grasping thing, but as a kind of set of rhizomes, roots, something organic, something about sort of the ecosystem, then I feel like it's sort of maybe a nice way to sort of grow things ultimately.
Yeah, when it's not contrived,
Yes.
or like when you're seeking like an end result, like, you know, ju- yeah,
Network.
it has to be
Network.
genuine,
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Well, exactly. And I think it's become a, yeah, I guess in a way it's sort of it's become a verb, right, to network, whereas actually
hmm
it sort of feels like maybe something more organic. It's like I always think about it like ants, ants come up to each other and they go like and then they kind of keep going on, and that's sort of what we're all doing. We're all like going like, do we connect? Do we get on? Sort of
hmm like
off we go.
speed dating for ants or something. Like, I mean, I do hate when I see something called a networking event
Oh
or
yeah, no, that's
like I avoid it, or but I do networking all day long, and we
well,
talk a
yeah.
lot about that on the show because, I think we have a lot of, young filmmakers and students listening, watching in our environment in Santa Fe, especially. And it really does matter, like meeting people and keeping connections and, making good impressions and
Just seeing who you like as well, like who
yeah.
you on with, what sort of lights you up, whose ideas light you up,
Mm-hmm.
somebody's laugh does it sort of inspire you across a room to go say hello, sort of
Yeah. Yeah.
things like that. I think that's sort of, and yeah, and that's sort of how it all kind of came about. Like Kim, the director of the film, she knew she was involved in various projects, one of them being with my own mother, actually. And she was directing a short that was written by a writer, Maria Hummer, who wrote a short film called He Took His Skin Off for Me that I was in. Um, Through a random, just I met the director and the writer at a screening of a film that I'd made, and they had a film there, and so we just kind of connected. And so I was in this film that Kim directed, the short film called The Director, and then she moved to Canada. She's Canadian, but she was living in London. the Canada UK sort of dichotomy is sort of there somehow there. And then she was looking for projects to work on, and I had been working with Julia, the writer, on a short film that I directed and helped develop that she had written called It's Nothing. And I knew that Julia had this really wonderful play that she had been always wanted to turn into a film. And I just thought something about the way that they both saw the world would be an interesting combination. And so I connected them. And then, yeah, and then
Cool.
it's history. So I was involved in the development of it as well, and was always playing the role of Annabelle. So there was something quite nice about that organic coming together of that project. And I'm grateful for Kim and for the Canadian funding system, actually, because so often with English language films, there's always this kind of obsession about hiring a famous person, a name, and yeah, I'm not a famous person, and so it was lovely to be able to play that kind of a role. It's hard, I think, as an actor to be able to exercise your breadth and your depth, and I feel lucky that sort of living in Canada has really allowed me to do that. I think it's independent cinema is really alive and kicking there, and from what it sounds like, it's also really alive and kicking in New Mexico. So it's cool that I really felt that when I was there. Actually, I went to the New Mexico Shorts and saw all the amazing work that was coming out of the state, and I was just so inspired.
Yeah. Before we go any further, we should say that your film is playing in New Mexico. It'll be this Friday, 6 p.m. at the Violet Crown. It's part of Santa Fe International Film Festival Art House Cinema, where we are showing our Film Fest award winners, like one each month. So you can see this film again if you didn't get to see it at the Film Fest, like I didn't.
And we had a bit of a screening.
Actor, also, I think you're listed as director,
Writer, director, I wear many hats.
all the thing, many hats, yes. Okay, we'll be right back. And we're back with Anna Maguire, actor on the film With Love and a Major Organ, which is showing at the Violet Crown in Santa Fe this Friday, 6 p.m. Get your tickets online at santafe.film or at the Violet Crown. Now, Anna, I haven't seen the movie as we discussed because I was working at the film festival and I really wanted to, and I'm planning to see it. But in the meantime, can you like give us like a sneak preview? Of course, not a spoiler. I like spoilers, but not everyone listening probably does, but enough to get us going on it.
So yeah, so With Love and a Major Organ tells the story of a woman, Annabelle, who's kind of a bit eclectic and an artist, and she lives in this world where, not so far from her own, slightly dystopian, pushed world where everyone relies on an app called WhatsApp to kind of tell them how to live their lives, all the way from when to buy laundry detergent to how much time you should spend with your
The app is called WhatsApp?
sorry,
Or
Life
Life's
app.
app. Okay.
I didn't go, yeah, Life app.
Yeah, that's the one
But
we
like,
actually use is
not wrong
WhatsApp.
there,
Just to
but
go over
yeah,
that.
no, it's
Yeah.
called Life app. Yeah, this is not an advert for WhatsApp. And and so it kind of controls their life, everyone's life, or it can if you opt in. And Annabelle doesn't want to be part of that. She wants to feel things, but with feeling things comes the highs and the lows, as we all know, of what it is to be human. And she meets a man in the park in a world where very few people spend time outside, just to spend time. And she falls in love with him. And after a series of emotional outpourings that he does not or cannot reciprocate, she gives him her heart, and he runs away with it. And chaos ensues. So it's a love story, but it is kind of I guess it's a kind of non-traditional love story, because actually the two lovers are very, very rarely together, actually. And if anything, it's a story about finding love within oneself, and figuring out kind of how to love and what love is, and what do you do with your heart. It's one of the big questions I think the film is asking. How in the world, in the world that we live in, and societies that we're living in, and the strife, and the coldness, in the sort of capitalism and all of that, how do we find a way to live as human beings? And I think that is becoming a more and more difficult proposition. And so I think the film is sort of it doesn't shy away from the darkness, but it also, like, it shines light on this, and I think it offers some sense of joy, of generosity, of kindness, which I hope is something that people would like to come away feeling of a Friday night. So
Yeah, I think we need more movies like that. I mean, we need all kind of film, but it's nice to see uplifting. I mean, does it give us an answer in the end? Is there?
oh, it doesn't fully give you an answer. I think, I don't know if I don't know. I don't know if good art can be didactic, but I'm sure there's
Mhm.
many, everything. Because I teach screenwriting as well, and whenever I say, I'm always like, whatever I say is also the opposite is also true. So, there's no
Yeah,
rules.
yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, I'm sure the answer is not an app. I'm guessing that's not the
Yeah,
answer
I don't
to
think the
happiness.
answer is an
Yeah.
app. Some people might, hey, and you know what? Some people might watch that and be like, oh yeah, life's that. Totally, that's what I want. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I have my call right before you was actually my therapist and like my weekly therapist call. And then I got on to do some research and was reading I had read the, you know, trailer bio before, but I'm like, whoa, that's like what we just talked about. Yeah.
Well, the irony as well, Julia, when she wrote the play in 2012, it's a very different beast, because obviously it's a stage play, it's a three-hander, but Mona, George's mother, who's a big part of the film, she uses something called Google Shrink. And this was, 2012, when that idea sort of was like, oh, wild, you would never have that, lo and behold.
Hmm.
So I feel like, life's that, maybe it's terrifyingly.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so you teach screenwriting as well?
I do.
Okay. Do you do that in LA or Canada?
I do it in London, actually. I
Oh,
teach at
okay.
Birkbeck University. I teach on the MA and BA courses in one of the semesters. And yeah, I really, really love doing it. Teaching has always been a big part of my practice as an artist. I think it's really important, because I think it can be so easy to become really myopic and sort of navel gazing when you're making work. And I think there's something quite like it makes you test your own theories and sort of call bullshit on your own stuff. But
Hmm.
B, I don't know, I guess why I try and make work, you know, so many different ways to think about it, but I guess this is where I'm at today, is to sort of reach across the void and be like, hi, I'm here, are you there too? um and I think that teaching can also do that. It's a way of connecting and a way of giving other people confidence and the space to explore their own voices and their own perspectives. And it's not about instilling anything. It's not about being didactic, I guess, which is probably where a lot of those sort of senses of my worldview come from. It's about giving people the space to explore and be free, because I think that is maybe one of the most incredible gifts that we can be given, is freedom.
Hmm. You probably learn a lot from your students as
Oh
well,
yeah.
I'm guessing.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I've started teaching in the last couple of years for a museum with young creatives, and I find that I learn just as much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very reciprocal relationship, actually.
Hmm.
Symbiotic.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break for these messages. We're here with Anna Maguire talking about With Love and a Major Organ, that's playing over at the Violet Crown this Friday at 6 p.m. Be right back. We're back. This is Film Talk Weekly. I'm Castle Cersei with Santa Fe International Film Festival. We're here with Anna Maguire of With Love and a Major Organ actress. Uh, Won the juried award for Best Narrative Feature at our festival this last fall. And this is screening at 6 p.m. on Friday at the Violet Crown, in case you missed it. And Anna, I want to hear about how you got started. Have you always wanted to be in film, an actress? Like what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, yeah, so I started acting at a very young age. Not because my parents were sort of intense stage parents or anything. It was something
Yeah.
that I fell into, and I think they were both like, "Oh, I guess we're going to go along for this ride."
Right.
So they were very supportive of that. But I was in this choir, and sort of unbeknownst to the parents, we ended up getting auditioned for this opera, and I got one of the parts, and it wasn't a big thing. It was a chorus, and they put on a chaperone and yada, yada, yada. And so I was like, oh, I want to do it. And I'm like, okay, sure. And I came off that stage, and on the first night, my dad picked me up, and I was like, I want to do this forever. And he was like, oh God. So fast forward, I think maybe like 6 months or a year or something. And there were signs, because I went to French primary school because my mum's from Quebec. And she wanted us to have French as a second language. And there were signs on the school door for French speaking kids for a film project. And my mum asked me, she was like, oh, I know that you like doing this. Do you want me to sort of send it away? And I was like, yeah. So they sent it away, and it was Saving Private Ryan. And I ended up getting that part. And then
Okay.
the same casting director gave me the script for Ever After, and I ended up getting that part. So I played young.
Oh, I didn't know you're never after. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I feel like it's all sort of our
When
generation.
you were a child, you
Yeah.
were in
Yeah,
these?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. When I was like
Oh. That's
8-ish.
why I don't recognize you, but yeah, I
No,
did.
no, yeah, exactly. Would be
Your
weird if I.
filmography is pretty long, so I guess I
Yeah,
didn't get down to Ever After.
yeah,
Wow.
that's anyway, so it just kind of went from there, and then the casting directors put me in touch with an agent, and then I started sort of working here and there, not like I didn't like leave school or go on the road or anything like that. I had
Hmm.
pretty small childhood, but got parts and this, that, and the other. And then when I sort of stopped for a couple of years because I was trying to do my A levels, and then I went to university, and I also traveled a bit. I lived in South America for a bit. I just kind of but when I graduated, I realized I wanted to keep going. So I sort of started up again on that train. But yet what I had sort of gained over the course of the years of the university and stuff was I realized I actually also wanted to make things beyond acting in other people's projects. I'd sort of directed some stuff in university. I was doing a lot of photography work. And so I was sort of I guess sort of beginning to sort of figure out what lit me up and what my practice might be. And I guess that's an endless exploration, but yeah, it sort of grew from there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are multidisciplinary artists, like myself included. Are you an opera singer then?
No, no, no,
Okay.
no, no. That was like
Okay.
being in a kid chorus. I think we sang
Okay.
Papa multiple times,
Hmm. Hmm. Well, there's still time.
Well, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
And so then like how did you like I mean it sounds like you kind of got your big breaks pretty early or at least what felt like them, I bet. Like
Yeah, I mean, I joke it's been downhill ever since, but no, I mean, I think it's like it is something I've been thinking a lot about, child acting and the relationship with my relationship with it, because obviously there's many different versions of that, and there's some horror stories I think we've all heard, and I definitely have a couple of strange encounters for another day. But overall, I have to say I was very, very yeah, I felt I had a lot of fun, and I
Mhm.
felt like I did have a lot of space to be a kid. I think it's more those questions sort of come up later when you start thinking about, why am I doing this job now? If I hadn't been doing that when I was younger, would I be doing this now? Do I want to keep doing it? Do I not? All these questions, I think that are pretty natural, that we all hit up against for various reasons.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's been I think doing stuff as a kid is so different to figuring out what you really want to do as an adult, right? And those are just some strange, odd fun.
Sometimes, I mean, sometimes I think like, I mean, I knew, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
but then
yeah.
I changed course and thought I wanted to be an astronaut, which like is the last thing in the world I'd want to do right now.
There you
Yeah.
go, right? I was a paleontologist, like definitely paleontologist for a while.
Right.
But then that's because I love Jurassic Park, so I guess it all comes back to film.
Right, right.
But I've been thinking about those things. I guess I don't have any pat answers, and I obviously I have no idea what my life would have been if I hadn't done those things. So sort of, hindsight is 2020, and it is the path that I am on. Not to say that couldn't change in the future, depending on where life goes. I don't know, I've ended up journeying a lot through space and time, and I don't know where it's all going to go. I'm definitely in a point where I'm like, let's see what happens next.
I'm kind of in that place too. I'm nomadic and I just do things I feel like doing and then other things happen. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I get that.
trust the process.
Um, so you've done acting, obviously, and you've done directing. You're obviously a screenwriter. Like, is acting your favorite? Like, or do you, like,
Yeah, I mean,
what, what
I
would you,
what would I pick
yeah.
if I was being held over a volcano and had to
No, I
make a
don't like,
decision?
yeah, I would never want to make you pick, I guess.
No.
Or what do you love about each of them, you know? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I love enacting when working in a collaborative way, you get to sort of be a part of someone else's vision and
mm-hmm,
bring something to that, or a conduit in a different way.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Which I find it's really lovely to sort of go, I can bring all these things and I have all these ideas, but ultimately at the end of the day, I'll do what you want for the director, which I love that, or finding that space, because you don't always know what a director's what their ultimate vision is, why they're doing something in a certain way. And I think that's also why I started directing as well, because I wanted to have that, control's the wrong word, but that sort of oversight, I guess, or that sort of molding that a
mm-hmm.
director gets to do. And I think acting has made me a better director, and directing has made me a better actor, and both of those things have made me a better writer. And it's like a braid. It's sort of very hard to sort of unbraid those things, because they are all really connected. And I think that one of the problems with the way the industry works, and or it's changed a lot, I think, but it certainly, when I was young, and just, still is the kind of, was sort of separated out, we're atomized out, we're put into little boxes, and it's like, don't stay in your lane. Oh, an actor directing, gosh, how embarrassing, unless you're of a certain stature. And so there's all these kinds of I think unfair judgments that are made about artists, especially working in cinema, that I think our community sort of globally is shifting that, and it has been shifting that in the last sort of 10 years. But I do think some of those outdated perspectives still sort of prevail, or at least sort of run through.
All right, let's take a short break for these messages. This is Castle Cersei, guest hosting Film Talk Weekly. We're talking with Anna Maguire of With Love and a Major Organ. We'll be right back. And we're back. This is Film Talk Weekly. We're with Anna Maguire, the star of With Love and, oh my God,
You've said it too many times. It's
I've said
become
it too many.
like mush. With love and a
Yes,
major organ. There we
With
go.
Love and a Major Organ, which, I mean, you had me at the little write up. I love alternate reality. Um, I think I love movies about turning off feelings, maybe. So I am like in. I love dystopia. I can't wait to see it. And obviously, it was the winner for Best Narrative Feature at our Santa Fe International Film Festival. So this is I guess, one of the last chances for people in Santa Fe to see it. Then where does it go?
Big screen, yeah. I think we're going to be online, but I'm not quite sure of all the details. So I think eventually there may be some sort of streaming capacity, but we're just so
Okay.
lucky with Circle Collective, our distributor in the US, who's yeah, bringing it to screens, because it's harder and harder to bring films to the big screen, and especially indie films. And so
Yeah.
it's so awesome to be able to share it with different people in different spaces on a big screen in a communal viewing capacity.
Hmm. It is, a distribution is so interesting right now. Um, so did you say it's going to go to like nationwide release after this?
It's
Or,
sort of not nationwide. I mean, there's different cities and different
mhm,
communities, different screening spaces. It's sort of we're a small indie film, so
mhm,
we don't have the budget for a big release. But yeah, that, and then Canada, because it's a Canadian feature. So we're doing it, that it opens on April 12th in Canada, and that's sort of all over the country in different spaces. Again, sort of we're smaller, but yeah, it's a little engine that could, I keep calling it.
mhm. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And you, audience, can see it this Friday at the Violet Crown at 6 p.m. I think there's still tickets, a few tickets available, and it's only showing for one night, so be sure to go see With Love in a Major Organ. It's part of the art house cinema that Santa Fe International Film Festival is putting on this year. Um, so Anna, I just want to hear more about you and like what are you working on now? Like this is in the can, this is showing. What is, I know you're working on something else or more than
Well,
several things.
I just shot two parts. I did a feature, a small part in a feature in Montreal called Au revoir Pluton, that is directed by Sariane Cormier. It's her first feature. And I also just finished shooting. I also wrote a segment for Martin Clark. He is a filmmaker I met on a development program, and his first feature that he was shooting in Glasgow, and it's a really indie piece called Public House, and it's an anthology feature, but set in this pub over the course of a year. And so I wrote a little segment and performed in it, which was just so wonderful. Love working on independent film projects. It's my favorite thing to do. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, and then I've been writing a feature for a little while now that we're just beginning to start financing, or trying to finance, which is always a scary and difficult thing. But just, it's little steps. You just got to take the little steps, because you're going to get a million no's, but it only takes one yes. And then there's another feature that I'm writing that's actually set in New Mexico, because I came for the festival and I really fell in love with the Santa Fe and sort of the surrounding landscape, and yeah, I just kind of want to have more excuses to come back.
Cool. It is easy to fall in love with New Mexico.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I love it. I get to go at least once or twice a year. Um, and I know the film industry, it has great incentives too, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, again, I met so many independent filmmakers in Santa Fe at the festival. I mean, obviously it makes sense. But it really felt that there was like a thriving community.
Mhm.
And one that it's kind of hard to find that, actually. I think it's really unique.
It is
Um,
unique compared,
yeah,
like, yes.
yeah. And
And
then with like,
everyone kind of knows everyone and but yet there is enough talent in the area, you know?
totally, and it felt super diverse, and there was, and then obviously there's the whole Netflix thing happening there,
Mhm.
and the tax. So yeah, I just felt there's many layers of quite an interesting space to make work. I don't know, probably very difficult. I always feel like I never make it easy for myself, but it inspired me, and it was nice to sort of be inspired. So I guess, watch this space in 2 to 5 to 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Hopefully shorter than that, but it does take a
Yeah.
long time. When did we start working on this film with Love and a Major Organ? It was like 2017. Yeah, so it's like it takes a long time.
But then you had a pandemic in there. I'm sure that
We did have a
kind of
pandemic.
threw a wrench into it, you know?
Yeah,
Um, so you started filming Love in a, with a Major Organ
yeah. We started,
with
yeah.
love.
It's a little bit of a tongue twister. With
Yeah.
Love and a Major, yeah, people always like organs, love organ love.
Yes. Yes.
Um, yeah, when we started filming it, we filmed it in 2022, in the February of 2022.
Oh, so
But the development and the writing and the blah, 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 blah,
right.
the financing, the so on and so forth.
Uh-huh.
All the sort of the bottom bit of the iceberg that no one sees. Took
Yeah.
it some time.
Okay, so you've talked about everything you're working on, that's it. And like when you're not doing film, what are you doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, I teach, as I mentioned. What else do I do? Gosh, what do I do for fun? Nothing else. I just power down like the robot
Yeah,
that
yeah. Well, I like to get the whole picture so people can see,
I
like,
cook.
I
I
can do
really like
that.
to cook.
Like, I like rollerblading too, and
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know,
No, I really like
uh,
to cook. I'm a bit, I really, I spent the winter in London, and we got a like a fire pit. So we spent a lot of the winter sort of grilling steaks on a fire outside, which is a very, very Canadian thing to do. I think all
uh-huh.
my friends from London were a little bit bemused, but but I was like, this is what I want to spend my winter doing, just sort of in community with a few people, and yeah, sort of that, and then what else? I'm like, what else do I do? Like, I like to go dancing. I mean, who doesn't? Yeah, just sort of living life. I'm in a bit of a transition phase right now, I think, in terms of what the next bit looks. I think a lot of us are, I think, post-COVID and coming out into this sort of
Definitely had something to do with it. Like we
yeah,
were talking off air that I'm in a transition nomadic phase, and I'm sure
yeah.
COVID had something to do with it. Yeah.
Definitely. I think I'm sort of getting back to something a bit simpler, I guess. I think what I did take from COVID and the pandemic was spending a lot of time in smaller spaces and cooking and spending a bit more time on my own and
Yeah.
resting a bit
Yeah.
more actually, because I think I've never been very good at resting, and I don't think our society it really gives us a
Hmm.
lot of space for that. So I think I'm trying to carve out space to
Hmm.
rest and rest more consciously and spend time outside and spend time doing things that feel good for me, not necessarily sort of what I feel like I should be doing. So I
Right.
think redrawing
Yeah.
those
So definitely like kind of cut the ties of like going to things because you should, you know?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. Cool. Well, anything else you want to share with Santa Fe or New Mexico or our audience?
I
Um,
had such a wonderful time at the Santa Fe International Film Festival. It really was like one of the highlights of my year last year. I thought it was
it's
such a
so cool,
phenomenal,
right? It feels
great.
like
It
a European city to me in a way. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was so supportive. And I could tell that the festival was super supportive of its local community, as well as
hmm,
the
hmm.
inviting to sort of the us external visitors. And yeah, I felt so enlivened by the whole thing actually, and all the
Hmm.
encounters I made. And I guess to come back around in the circle at the beginning, we talked about networking, and it really it felt like such a beautiful organic network of people that sort
It
of
really is. It
make
is.
part of yeah, the sort of the whole was larger than the sum of its parts. And I just, yeah, I'm kind of desperate to come back. So I just need to make another film so I
Yeah,
can
just
come
make
to
another
the
film and
festival,
come back. Yeah, or act in another film. It's really easy to, people do make return visits through different films. And
Yeah,
I,
I'm sold, so I'm in.
yeah, I was also just taken with Santa Fe and the festival and the people who run it and 10 years ago. And so I just kept finding my way back. And
Well,
I've made so many friends in different cities through the festival. It is what it appears to be. It is like really like organic and like it is that supportive. And
yeah, and
yeah,
there's not
I
there's
love it.
not that many spaces. There are some, and they exist, and they're super important, but they're not
Hmm.
that many spaces. So when you find them, I think you've got to hold them close,
Yeah, it is. It's special.
nurture them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for taking the time to join us. And just for the audience out there, one more time, this Friday, 6 p.m. at the Violet Crown, you have a chance to see,
With love and a major organ.
yes, with Anna Maguire, directed by Kim Albright. It's part of our Art House Cinema series with the Santa Fe International Film Festival. Thanks so much, Anna.
Thank you so much for having me and for the wonderful conversation. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, okay. We'll see you in Santa Fe soon.
Yes.
Hmm.